And with our growth rates as they are now, this study was done, we completed it in 2022, that suggested 2080.
Okay.
But we're seeing unprecedented growth in
that
our
you
community.
couldn't have anticipated, yeah.
You cannot, take your finger. You'll always have to keep your thumb on that and make sure that you're planning and every year evaluating what our projected growth, did we exceed that or did we fall short of it, and how is that impacting our water supplies?
Welcome to another episode of Discover Seguin. I'm your host, David Pope, and I'm here with Tim Howe, who is the new director of
utilities
for the City of Seguin. I was trying to figure if it was what the division was called there, but so it's just utilities, right?
It is.
Well, fantastic. Well, Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
And as we understand, we've talked to Mayor Dodgen and to Steve Parker, and they both have they sing your praises. And one of the things that they said that you are really great at, and this is going to be a great opportunity for you because you happen to have in front of you the most ignorant person you can possibly get today on wastewater, water, utilities, electric, things like that. So I'm going to give you free rein to just educate me as though I know nothing, which in fact I do.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So my name's Tim. I've been with the City of Seguin since 2017. I've been in the utility industry, specifically water and wastewater, for about 30 years now. I'm retired from the San Antonio water system. I was very blessed with a career there. They're very good to me. I've learned a lot, but I was very thankful to be able to make it over to Seguin in 2017. We do provide water and wastewater services and electric utilities to the community. We are serving in an area called a CCN. Okay. CCN stands for Certificate of Convenience and Necessity.
Okay.
And we're regulated by the state. The Public Utility Commission out of Austin sets boundaries where utilities can provide services within.
Okay.
And so the City of Seguin has these CCNs for water, wastewater, and electric. And it's just basically a defined area where we have a customer base.
Does it change depending upon which utility it is that you?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
And so there's other utilities in our community, like Springs Hill serves water, and they have their CCN. We're kind of surrounded by Crystal Clear and Green Valley to the west. Of course, GVC is a large electric utility provider that is serving around the City of Seguin.
Okay.
Electricity.
Yeah.
So the city has our customers, water, wastewater, and electric. We're very excited because, as everyone knows in the city, we're growing leaps and bounds.
A lot.
As a matter of fact, we're just discussing our rate proposal at our city council meeting night before last, and the projections are wonderful. We're seeing over 7% growth on the wastewater side. We're expected to grow to actually hit 16,000 or 27,000 wastewater accounts by 2035. The same is true on the water side, a little over 5% growth on the water side, and electric as well. So these are exciting times in our community. We have over 17,000 dwelling units in some phase of development around the city, 58 new subdivisions on the books. So things are happening.
That's a lot of subdivisions
in the city. So I guess it would be prudent for one to say, well, how, with all of this growth in our city, how are we set in terms of water? Because living in Texas, specifically our area of Texas, water is always a hot topic.
For sure.
We've been in some pretty extreme drought conditions, and I say that, now we've had some recent rains, and so...
I think we're still in the drought, though,
We're still in the drought. And I guess that's just the way it is for us. When it comes, and then when it stops, it stops. So that's a valid question. How is the city of Seguin? How are we prepared for, say, the next 50 years in terms of our water resources?
Right.
And so I'm pleased to report that our city is very blessed with a diverse water portfolio.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that we have two very different sources of water that we get our water from.
Okay.
One of those water resources is the Guadalupe River.
Yeah.
And the city of Seguin has over 7,000 acre feet of water permitted that we can divert. And when I say divert, simply means we can pump it from the river, treat it in our treatment plant, and distribute it to our customers as potable drinking water.
So what is an acre foot, of water? Like,
What does that mean?
Give me some kind of
I get
reference
it.
to
Let me do
understand.
that, and it's easy. It's a great question. So if you can imagine an acre of land,
Okay.
43,560 square feet with 1 foot of water on top of it,
Okay.
that's an acre foot. In terms of gallons, it's 325,851 gallons of water
Okay.
per acre foot.
So 7,000 acre feet, is that per day, per
year.
Per year?
Per year,
Okay.
yes, sir. That we have the right to divert from the river and treat.
So it's what, 20 some odd million gallons, 23 million gallons, somewhere thereabouts?
I think it might be more than that.
Or is it 210 million gallons?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Or billion. I'd have to do the math.
Yeah.
So when you're talking large terms, large
a lot of-
quantities
it's a lot of water.
it's a lot of water. On top of that, about 20 years ago, and I'm not sure exactly the date, 20 plus years ago, the city of Seguin and the city of Schertz
Okay.
got together and formed the Schertz-Seguin Local Government Corporation. As a matter of fact, they're your neighbor.
Right here across the
Right
street.
across the street from
Yeah.
here. And that was a brilliant idea for both municipalities because it developed a groundwater source
Okay.
in the Carrizo Aquifer. And we have groundwater wells that pump water and are treated at a treatment plant out in Gonzales County.
Okay.
And then piped, it comes from out near Nixon
Okay.
and heads west towards Schertz. And then as it passes just south of the river, we have a line that brings our share of that water to the city of Seguin. So
That comes a long way.
it's a long way. Yes, sir, it is. But it's very important because just like when the recent rains caused flooding in the Guadalupe River, the water became so turbid that it didn't pay to treat the water. We had to use so much chemical to manage the turbidity in the water that we just stopped.
Okay.
But we're fortunate to be able to do that because then we just get our water from a groundwater source, which is not impacted by those weather events.
And do you have the same kind of amount of acre feet or something?
More.
You have more acre
Yes,
feet. Than that.
it changes periodically depending on how the permits are. But I think it's somewhere to the tune of about 18,000 acre feet available.
Okay.
From the groundwater source. So from a water supply standpoint, the city of Seguin is in a really unique situation in terms of our neighboring communities that might struggle for water, even neighboring water purveyors. As we have our most recent strategic water supply study suggests that we have sufficient and adequate water resources to meet the demand of the city until around the year 2080.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
we're in a really good place. It doesn't mean that our community is wasteful, can be wasteful, or everybody is cognizant of how important our water resources are. So I
Right.
think our community does what it needs to do to conserve and make good use of that precious resource. So I'm really proud of Seguin and how we manage our water, especially our city management and city council have been very proactive in our planning and forecasting our water resources. So even though we're in a position where we believe we're good through 2080, it would be irresponsible for me in my position and for our city to not continuously think of water and where the next source of water should come from.
Right.
And so we are continuing to evaluate that and continuing to study the cost of water per acre foot for new water developed.
So just right now, I mean, I'm assuming we're running a if we've got enough acre foot permitted to see us through 2080, then right now we're running a pretty significant surplus, probably greater than 50% surplus from what we're taking versus what we're permitted for.
That's reasonable.
Yeah. So have we considered creating, I know the city of New Braunfels created some kind of a subterranean water storage facility or something.
Aquifer storage and recovery?
Yeah. Have we contemplated creating something like that so that we can actually store up some of that surplus rather than just let it go down the river?
So that's a good question, and it's really applicable to water utilities that derive their source water from like the Edwards Aquifer, because the Edwards Aquifer Authority does limit your pumping seasonally.
Right.
And so, and I'll speak because I have experience at the San Antonio Water System where they have that same thing. And so, and the idea and what makes it very valuable is that in the winter, when you theoretically your community's not using as much water, you can still pump from the aquifer, and then you can store it and then recover aquifer storage and recovery. You can recover that water in the summer when your demands are heavy, but your pumping requirements are still limited.
Gotcha.
So it makes sense when you're in that situation. The City of Seguin really doesn't have that kind of need at the moment.
Gotcha.
So we haven't gone down that road. It is our sister agency, the City Seguin Local Government Corporation, may have that in their forecast at some point down the road. But for us, the city, it's prudent for us to continually look at our water resources, because to develop a new source of water could take 10 to 15 years.
Sure.
And with our growth rates as they are now, this study was done, we completed it in 2022, that suggested 2080.
Okay.
But we're seeing unprecedented growth in our community.
Couldn't have anticipated, yeah.
You cannot, take your finger. You'll always have to keep your thumb on that and make sure that you're planning and every year evaluating what our projected growth, did we exceed that, or did we fall short of it, and how is that impacting our water supply? So I think my message, the big picture message, is that the City of Seguin is very proactive in that, and so our community can rely on our water resource for now and into the future. So that's the message in terms of water resources. The other thing I would say, as somebody new, if you were new to our community and not knowing anything about the utilities, in terms of wastewater service, I talked about CCN in the beginning, and our water CCN is a little smaller than our wastewater CCN.
Really?
So yes, we serve waste.
Well,
we provide wastewater.
There's so many water companies.
Exactly.
Around, yeah.
And so our wastewater CCN extends out to near FM 758 on 123, which is north of Geronimo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We go west of the river, but not too far west of the river. We're east. We have wastewater services, not infrastructure, but our CCN extends almost to Kingsbury, to the east.
For wastewater.
For wastewater. So we have a significant amount of wastewater area that we serve. So it's reasonable that we have more wastewater customers than water customers, because like you said, we have some wastewater customers that are getting water from Springs Hill or Crystal Clear or other water companies.
So just to most people, you pay a wastewater bill based upon the number of gallons, right?
That's correct.
That you get of water. So how do y'all measure that? Do y'all get co-billing or something from?
No, so we've worked with the other agencies, and actually in this instance, like for example, Springs Hill will do the billing for the city of Seguin for their water customers. They collect our wastewater rates,
Gotcha,
and then just forward them to the city. So we have that relationship with our neighboring utility providers. In terms of capacity for our wastewater treatment, I'm really excited about this because this was a big thing for me coming into Seguin, and this is probably 2019, not 2019, maybe 2020-ish, 2019, somewhere in that area. We began talking about consolidating our wastewater treatment facilities. And you may or may not know, but the City of Seguin has our largest wastewater treatment. It's not a big wastewater treatment, but it is for the city, right in the middle of downtown, just south of the square, about a mile. The Walnut Branch wastewater treatment plant sits. And so we've been working very hard to relocate that. And so it's projected right now. We're under construction. We've had to expand. We have a second facility out near the auxiliary airport on Airport Road. It's actually Sites Road. It's at the end of Airport Road. That was a smaller wastewater treatment facility, and we are expanding that to be able to decommission the one that's here in town. So that's going to be really good for our community. And it's going to also be cost effective to operate one plant versus two when we are able to do that. I'm not saying that sometime in the future, if growth continues like it is, that there may not be a need for a second treatment plant again. But at least it won't be in the middle of downtown. So that's a really good thing for our community. It was actually the largest capital project the city has ever undertaken, to the tune of about $200 million to build that facility. That price tag also includes the conveyance of wastewater from the current downtown plant. We had to get it over to the new plant. So it was a big project.
Did it put in new lift stations in various places?
And one thing that I was very proud of our city management and our city council, because operating two facilities, you're always faced with upgrades. It just happens. You need to upsize things. You need to keep up with, as flows increase, you're actually required by state regulations to keep up with that kind of thing. And so when the city made the decision to do this, we were faced with millions of dollars of upgrades at both treatment plants. And so while $200 million is a massive number, no doubt, if you looked at it in the investment that the city would have had to make in two plants over the course of 10 years,
and then
versus
beyond,
the cost
and
beyond,
you would have had to continue.
Not to mention the limited amount of space to expand the Walnut Branch. We were running out of room, so that was going to end at some point. But the difference between the price tag of the new plant versus continuing with two was really only about 50 to 50. I can't remember the exact number, but it was less than 60, maybe 50 something $million difference. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and our council decided, yes, let's move forward, and we did, and now we are under construction with an expected completion in the fall of 27.
And out there, you have room to expand that facility
exactly,
too.
We do,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
So those are some good things that are happening for our community in terms of water and wastewater. On the electric side, we're very fortunate to have a reliable electric distribution system. We have a great team of people, and so that is also our demand. Our peak demands are increasing over time, and that's due to the growth in our city with commercial and residential and things like that. So lots of great things are happening for us here in town, and the city is prepared for the future. And so I'm real proud of that.
Well, that's great. And I know, I mean, obviously this building, we've been here since 1985. When I started working here in 2019, there were, the talk was, the power would kind of brown and everything else. And I've just realized that just in having this conversation, it just occurred to me, I don't think I've noticed that in the last several years. Right. Now it's just been very steady. We haven't had those browns.
Our electric team is very dedicated to maintaining the system, and right now they're working on a project on Kingsbury where they're taking old line and replacing it with new upsized line to handle the loads that are in our system. So, it's a wonderful place to be right now.
Well, it's a shame I don't notice it when it's working. We only notice it when it's not.
That's
and
the
I'm
thing.
Sure you guys, that's how y'all feel. Right?
That's exactly right, and you won't even know anything about it. But I'll promise you that if you wake up in the morning and walk into your shower, and you turn the knob and the water doesn't come out, you notice it.
You notice that,
and I hear it. So as long as that water's running, the toilet's flushing, and the light switch comes on, then you really don't notice that.
Pretty good then. Well, so you had mentioned y'all just had a rate meeting.
We did.
And I'm sure that all of our listeners would be really excited to hear, what's in store for them in terms of rates.
I see. And that's important. I'll first say that the city has been very, very strategic in its rate analysis, and we analyze our rate structures every year. And our finance team has been very creative about how we manage our debt, because in order to provide utilities for this growing community, I guess it goes without saying that we have to expand our system.
Sure.
Our infrastructure is continuously growing. And just for one example, in a few years ago, 2022, the City of Seguin and Springs Hill Special Utility District worked cooperatively to come up with a strategic way to help alleviate some strains on their system. And that resulted in a transfer of area, CCN area, that Springs Hill was serving in to the City of Seguin. And so about 10,000 acres north of I-10.
Okay.
And so in order for the city to serve its water in that area, we had to invest in infrastructure. Right. We had to bring big main transmission lines and things like that into that area to serve those customers. And so the way the city does that in terms of finances, we have to issue debt because these projects are millions of dollars.
And these houses are already on the ground, so there's no impact fees to collect again or anything like that, right?
There's not for existing customers. Yeah. They've already paid their impact fees. But north of I-10, as you probably know, there's lots of development going on. So new homes, new construction will pay impact fees, and I'm glad you brought that up because I want to touch on impact fees. And some, the regular ratepayer may not even know an impact fee exists, but impact fees are allowed. Utilities can charge impact fees for water, wastewater, or roadways and things like that. And the intent is for new development to pay for this necessary,
for the expanded capacity.
Exactly. And so the City of Seguin has designed its impact fees and its rate structures so that the lion's share of that cost is borne by the new development, rather than existing ratepayers. It's never going to be 100%, but the majority of it gets paid, the debt service gets paid by our impact fees. So that brings us to ratepayers, and what do they pay for? They pay for the maintenance and the cost of treatment, the wastewater, the cost of treating the water coming out of the river and distributing it and things of that nature. And so the forecast in previous years, we're right on track with what we've been forecasting, And what was proposed to council, and it requires 2 readings from city council, and so it was approved for the first reading on Tuesday. So on the water side, we're proposing a 5% increase, and on the wastewater side was a 3% increase. So in effect, and even a normal ratepayer would say, well, okay, fine, but what does that mean to me on my monthly bill?
Right.
Right. And so for water and wastewater, the average customer is going to see about a 4% increase, or in terms of dollars, depending on how much they use, between $4 and $6 a month on their bill. So that's what was proposed for council's consideration Tuesday.
That's probably the smallest increase on anything that they're getting right now.
I think
certainly if they're looking at their insurance.
It's been very exactly very consistent with what we've been forecasting. As a matter of fact, on the wastewater side, we had forecasted more than 3% last year, and so we were able to bring that down. I think on the water side, it went up a little bit, so it stayed pretty consistent. It just shifted a little bit.
Gotcha.
On the electric side, we did propose a 6% increase on the electric side. But what's unique about the electric utility is that for the past 10 years, the last substantial rate increase was 2014. It was like a 6.9%. And I think in 2019 there was wait a minute, not 2019, maybe it was a year or so ago. There was a very minimal increase, less than 1%. Mm-hmm. And so for 10 years, our electric rates have stayed pretty stable.
Yeah.
But we did, through a study, we worked cooperatively with an agency to help us look at our rates and forecast the future. And so we came up with a 6% rate increase on the electric side.
Okay.
And excuse me, I think it's important that when a municipality sets rates, they do so to simply recover cost of operation. So it's not like we're setting rates to increase that at all, but just to recover our costs.
So just out of curiosity, and you may, maybe y'all have this data, I don't know. Have you noticed, so obviously one of the things that that we've, all experienced over the last number of years, right? I mean, we've changed our light bulbs by force, kicking and screaming, most of us. We've changed our, a lot of other things to maybe more energy efficient appliances. Mm-hmm. But we've also probably added a bunch of appliances and other things. So I'm just curious, has there been, in your view, on a per capita basis, any kind of net utilization increase or decrease in electricity?
I'd have to say yes, those efforts do decrease the demand. It's hard to measure from my standpoint because while we've done things like, for example, the city has changed all the street lights out to LED lights, which was a huge saving because we can measure that in terms of the meter that it took to run those lights. So looking at just that, it did. When you look at the city as a whole, we still are having the demand increase, but that's due to the growth in the city.
Sure.
So I think those things that we've done to be more efficient with our energy has definitely, we've seen the result of that.
Yeah, I wonder, because you might even have, in some cases, if you're replacing old air conditioners with new air conditioners, you're replacing an old refrigerator or old washer or dryer or things like that, at some point you might even get to a place where even a 6% increase still might result in a decrease in your bill because your utilization has gone down.
Perhaps.
Does the city have, do you guys have any kind of rebates in place for customers, who are upgrading air conditioners, pool pumps, things like that are high energy users right now?
Not that I am aware of. Of course, in my role, for the utility, it's mainly utility operations, and we do have a utility billing department that's attached to our finance department.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Yeah, those are, I know in New Braunfels we have a number of, there's a number of rebates, like for, they even pay for, I think, a rebate for getting your air conditioner serviced twice a year, things like that. Small things.
I'll have to check on that.
It's just, I think and I don't know whether I'm curious whether those programs are actually effective, or whether they're just a cost.
Right.
They may look good on paper politically or something like that. It may not actually produce the results that you really want.
Yeah.
May just be paying people for stuff they were going to do anyways. So, well, Tim, man, this has been fantastic. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure we'll get the real math put on the chyrons there, and we may both be surprised how far off I was as to how many gallons of water we're actually talking about there. Right. But tell me just so you've been here since 2017. You
almost
said.
8 years. Yes.
And you live here in Seguin?
I don't. I commute.
You commute?
I've my wife and family live in San Antonio.
Okay. And you guys.
With that said, I do. Every time I tell this story, especially when we're talking to new people joining our staff, I like to tell this story, and so my commute is 42 miles one way.
Wow.
And I can tell, I'd like to share that because of our work environment, because of our city council, our city management, our city staff as a whole, I have never in my 8 years, when my alarm goes off, ever felt like I did not want to make that drive. I always want to come to work. I love what I do. I love where I work. And it's simply because I feel valued here. Our leadership team allows us to contribute and feel valued in our community. And I think that's what makes the city of Seguin, from an employment standpoint, very, very unique. And I'm hoping that I can continue to contribute here for years to come.
Well, man, that says something. That says something. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Tim. We really appreciate you being here. We hope you'll join us next time for another episode of Discover Seguin. Thank you.